Hello, this is Jacqueline with Sound Body Wisdom. Welcome, and I'm glad you're here. In this episode, I wanted to reflect on and offer a bit of I'm going to call it a guided contemplation on a familiar theme in this podcast, but my work, and I think in being human in general. So it's this space and this need. It's an energy, an exchange, a balancing between people of this to see and be seen. To see and be seen. And in the essence of that, I'm just going to back it up a step first and share that I have been in a profound space personally of reflection and some deep work as I've been navigating some substantial life events, and I've been riding the waves of all the blessing and all the challenge of this growth, and truly drawing on all the skills and tools and deep heart energy that I share in my practice of sound body wisdom and here on the podcast. And I feel it's important to share that with you, because how I show up here, it's definitely not just lip service. There's that saying to walk the talk. So yeah, I'm not just talking about this stuff. I live it, and I really lean into the work no matter what. And, for me, I intentionally refer to all that I'm navigating as growth, because no matter what the circumstances are or how hard it might feel, that's where my heart and body, my mind, my spirit leans into it. And that I know that growth is truly, it's unavoidable. And I know for me that, my inner compass, it's striving and it's drawn to expanding my understanding of this space of possibility that lives within me, that lives within each of us. And even as I say that out loud, maybe that sounds a little lofty or vague, but truly, I mean it in ways that are so steadfast, so grounded, and really alive as a directive within me. There's that quote from Socrates, and he says, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And that's a really bold and succinct statement. And while that statement might not resonate with everyone, there's a truly deep resonance in it for me. Because just as a pulse of nature within me, I just don't think it's possible for me to live an unexamined life. So awareness, curiosity, and kindness, they lead the way continuously through my days. They guide and inspire me to learn, to grow, to question, to expand how I sense the space of possibility within myself, but also in the very human stories and dynamics we have with one another. Because for me, everything is relational. The relationships we have with ourselves, the relationship we have with others, the relationship we have with the world around us. And so it's really this truth for me, this way of being that drives me to share and offer insight or access for others on their journey, your journey of growth. Because while it is very clearly my directive within me to lean in, to examine, to question, I know it's not everybody's inclination, and that's okay. And that's why I offer support and I do what I do. So with that said, and then circling back to what I shared at the beginning about this essential and potent dynamic that we share with one another, to see and be seen. Yeah, to see and be seen. These relationships we have within and to ourselves, all the different parts of us, and then simultaneously with others and everyone else's relationships to themselves. It's a lot. It's a lot of relating and a lot of potential. And connecting back into what I just shared about myself and sort of my inner compass. In some ways, I think I am most fascinated and curious about this space between ourselves, in relation to ourselves and our parts, and our relationship to other people and their parts. Because there really are so many layers, and this space asks us to bring our awareness, curiosity, and kindness, to breathe from the tender and really powerful centers of these amazing heart centers we have, and puzzle out and move towards how we can bring to life the essence of what it means to see and be seen. And no doubt, we are complex. Each of us beautifully, beautifully complex. If you think about our lives, the fullness of our lives and our experiences, and then biology and ancestry, you got your nervous systems and cellular memory, emotions, conditioning, so many parts of us created over a lifetime, moment by moment, and genetics, experience by experience. And truly, we each are so much more than just what we can measure or make a diagram of. And as much as I love words and language, and anyone that spent time with me knows how much I love words and language, we're more than the language we create to articulate our experiences. And because we are more than what we can measure, there is this, I'm going to say it's infinite, this infinite potential within us, each of us, that exists beyond the limits or the boundaries of the very physical body. Like as I touch my own like chest and arms, right? I've got these limits of a physical body, but within there are energies and potential that exist that we can't measure and we can't touch. I mean, if you even just think about emotions, you can't touch an emotion, you feel the emotion and you see indications of the emotion. I can't touch a memory, but there it is, right? So there's these examples of things that exist within us that we can't measure and touch physically, but they exist in this inner expansive realm, right? And the way we can get to know the things we can't measure, this potential, is by softening into our awareness and our curiosity and kindness, and get to know, get a sense of these layers, get a sense of this potential, get a sense of these parts, right? All these parts and places within us. So it's this practice of using awareness, curiosity, and kindness that supports our continually growing into knowing ourselves, to deepening our connection to self, right? That relational piece. And, when I contemplate this, I become even more curious about some of the hindrances or obstacles that I witness they're often cultivated and perpetuated by us, by culture, by society, or habit within people, or group dynamics. These patterns we've created that create certain limitations. So these are the obstacles that hinder our breathing into and engaging this essential need, right? This relationship between ourselves and one another to see and be seen. And we are designed to give and receive this gift, right? It's a part of our development as individuals, as a species. It is essential nourishment for growth, development, and fulfillment. And, as I have taught and traveled all over the world in diverse communities, this truth has been affirmed time and again as consistently people everywhere identify it as a core need, one that is essential but often lacking, to see and be seen. And I repeat it because every time I say it, it just goes in a little bit deeper. So I'm hoping the same might be true as I offer it by saying it again here, that you might hear it in some new way, to see and be seen. And it's not easy to define what it means to be seen. And it might feel a little different for each of us. But it does seem like people know it when it's happening or when it's not happening, when it's not there. So I'm just going to offer that maybe it's a connection, no matter the length, where you feel truly seen or known on some, I'm going to use the word authentic, on an authentic level, appreciated maybe, valued just for being you, maybe your essence, or that you exist, and in a heart-centered way that you've been witnessed by another human and really seen, as well as the potency of being your own witness and truly, authentically seeing yourself. So perhaps take a moment now to ask yourself what it means to you to feel seen. So for right now, just focus on yourself. And when you imagine that, being seen, truly seen by another person, how do you feel? In your body? In your heart? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel excited? Do you feel nervous? And again, just continue to sit with what it might mean to you to be seen as you imagine that. And you might continually notice new information that comes to you about what that might feel like or what it might mean to you. And maybe you could ask yourself if you feel seen regularly in your life now. Or is there a time in the past where you've felt more seen? Or maybe you're not even sure what that means to be seen, and that's okay too. So keep bringing your awareness and your curiosity and your kindness, just breathing into those. Just notice what you notice. Are you able to see yourself? And then the relationships in your life, the connections you have. Are there moments where you notice feeling seen and others where you don't? And this is something you can continually explore to come to understand what this might mean to you and how it might feel for you. And if there are places where you have that sense of being seen, how could you expand it, those connections? And if you don't feel seen as much as you'd like, what do you notice about that? Again, what would it mean to you? How would you describe how it feels if it were happening? And how do you imagine it? And so on your own, you can pause here or revisit this, but just breathe into what you notice. And as you learn more about what it means and how it feels for you to be seen, imagine how it might look or feel when you soften into seeing other people. In that same way, really seeing them and showing up. What stories or perceptions might you need to let go of to really be able to see someone in a way that's neither praise or criticism, but just it's presence. And that's the same for yourself. How do you show up without praise or criticism and presence to see self? And then where in your life do you notice you're able to do it for others? And what are the things that might get in your way or the things that support you doing it? And just breathe into everything that you notice. There's no right or wrong. Just notice what you notice. To see and be seen, I think it's a practice of authentic witnessing. It's It's a balancing of our inner landscape, all our parts, and a balancing of witnessing ourself, and then witnessing other. And I think as individuals that are also a part of a greater whole, the more we practice seeing ourselves, witnessing ourselves with curiosity and kindness, the more we learn how to be present and open-hearted in seeing or witnessing others. Not to mention developing more of an ability to recognize when someone is truly seeing us. Because both the see and the seen aspects of this equation, they inform one another. It's not a vacuum. They can and they often do work in relation to each other. So this experience and this dynamic of seeing and being seen, it's a spectrum, and it's unique to each of us. It's a bit of a gift we give and receive with one another and ourselves. So seeing ourselves, this witnessing of ourselves with curiosity and kindness, it allows us to get unstuck from the stories or the habits of thought and feeling and perception that we might have running inside us about ourselves, about our lives. This witnessing supports us to intentionally clean the lens, to more clearly know and see and be with ourselves. Because the kindness, as we practice with it, it can shift the criticism or the harshness, any kind of being judgmental or unaccepting of any aspect or part of us, right? These hierarchies that we create unnecessarily. And maybe let's just pause there for a moment and let that possibility reverberate. Just breathe that in, this wave or this space of kindness that can shift criticism inside, allowing just honest discernment and clarity to be present without all the stories and all the judgment that can really interfere with seeing and being with ourselves. And again, how we see and relate to ourselves, the quality of our witnessing, the lens from which we view, and the narrative we have running within us, it informs the ways that we see and relate to others. Our ability to see them clearly or with kindness. This witnessing of self and others feels so primary, informing our experience in our lives and bringing curiosity and kindness to this awareness, this witnessing. It's a critical piece. It has the potential to shift so much, and at the very least, how you see and relate to yourself. So with all that said, I want to say just a little bit about the word witnessing, because I use it often in this practice. And it's a word that's not typically used as a path towards softening. But in this context, softening is at the heart of this quality of witnessing. It's a space of seeing authentically, heart-centered, guided by curiosity and kindness. So in this context, witnessing it's a potent act of holding intentional space and then inviting curiosity and kindness, to inform it and infuse everything. This type of witnessing stimulates the breath of possibility, and it opens a space that's beyond criticism or being judgmental. Curiosity and kindness support each of us witnessing ourselves more clearly, free from distortion, and releasing both praise and criticism to simply see with an open and discerning heart, a gentle authenticity, a presence for all parts and aspects, in all the blessing and all the challenge of it all, who we are. And this doesn't mean we don't have feelings along the way. I know when I'm describing it, it can sometimes sound like a fairy tale place where, everything is just all good all the time. But we do have feelings along the way. I'm a deep feeler. And emotions are just such potent energy and teachers and guides. And really the key, generally speaking, is to not get stuck in any single emotion or feeling, right? They can be like water flowing, and we let them flow through, and we don't let them stagnate or become a fixed story. And we're all going to likely have times in our lives where this is easier said than done. We are human. So we meet ourselves where we're at. With any of this practice, we meet ourselves where we're at. So I know that, as I describe it, this witnessing of self and bringing curiosity and kindness, that it can sometimes sound simple. And I also know that there is complexity to each of us in our inner landscapes, the inner chatter and commentary, criticisms, comparisons, stories, maybe a lack of kindness or love that can move within and dance among our thoughts and feelings, whether that's consciously or unconsciously. So where do we begin? And in some ways you've already begun by listening here, or perhaps other ways you've already begun to shift how you see and relate to yourself and your inner landscape, this inner witness. And that's the journey, the choice to bring our awareness to our days, our moments, situations, to invite and practice with growing, expanding our awareness. And there are earlier episodes of this podcast that focused just on awareness, if you want to go back and visit some of those. So with our growing awareness, we can then invite our curiosity and kindness to basically shine their light in the space that awareness has opened. And it's important to note that in this space of witnessing and seeing and being seen, it does ask us to be vulnerable, which can be more or less comfortable for each of us. In each of us, we are, and I've said this a few times, but I think it's really great to remember, we are beautifully complex and messy and brilliant creatures. And all this expresses itself differently for each of us, as we each have different layers in biology and chemistry and so many variables that inform us. And in this practice of witnessing, of seeing self and seeing others, it doesn't mean it will be the same every day or with everybody, or that you'll always feel seen or others will always feel seen by you. Like, I have no doubt there are times someone does not feel seen by me. And it's okay. It's okay, because I am going to keep practicing, and I'm going to keep showing up as best I can and growing. And that's what we can do. It isn't that we're doing it wrong or need to work harder at it. It's just that circumstances can create obstacles, or the alchemy of people in a moment. So what I'm trying to say is, it's okay that we do our best with our awareness and our curiosity and kindness and witnessing ourselves and others. And we know this practice is not static. It is ever evolving, and we breathe into it and we meet it anew every day in each moment. We meet ourselves anew each day and every moment. And as you continue to cultivate this within yourself, your awareness, your curiosity, your kindness, there's less effort and more presence and more resource, and you feel it, and others feel it, this presence, this resource. So this is not a path of perfection or doing it right. It's a path of opening, breathing, leaning into this place where we're expanding in our hearts with awareness, curiosity, and kindness. It's finding balance in how we witness ourselves. It's from here, this space within us, that we meet ourselves, and we meet others, and we meet the world. It's from here that we cultivate this essential exchange, and that we learn what it means to us, how it feels. We learn how to see and be seen. Okay, as always, thank you for spending this time with me. If you want to check out my website, soundbodywisdom.com, please do. It had a little makeover recently, and that's felt really refreshing. So check it out if you can. And I invite you to listen to earlier episodes of this podcast and be in touch. Let me know any curiosities, reflections, questions you want to share. Until next time, this has been Jacqueline with Sound Body Wisdom. Take good care.